The studio was silent that evening when Xing Fei walked in wearing a simple white dress, her eyes already heavy with emotion. The cameras had started rolling, but no one expected what was about to happen next. The nation watched as one of the brightest stars of Chinese drama trembled before the microphone, her lips quivering, her hands clutching tightly as if she were holding on to the last piece of strength she had left. Yu Menglong's name had not been mentioned publicly since the heartbreaking announcement weeks ago. The industry had gone quiet. Fans around the world flooded social media with tributes, disbelief, and unanswered questions. But tonight was different. This was the moment everyone had been waiting for, the moment when Xing Fei finally decided to speak. She took a deep breath before beginning, her voice breaking softly through the silence. She said she had spent nights in complete darkness, unable to sleep, unable to eat, and unable to accept that the man who once stood beside her on countless sets, who laughed during breaks and calmed her nerves before every take, was now gone. Her words painted memories that were too vivid to ignore. She described how Yu Menglong would always arrive on set before anyone else, sitting quietly with his script in hand, his smile gentle yet focused. She said he had a heart that never sought fame but only love and peace. Then, her voice began to tremble. She confessed that his final days were filled with unspoken pain, hidden behind that same warm smile the public always adored. He had been struggling silently, refusing to burden anyone with his worries. Xing Fei revealed that in his final message to her, he had written that he was proud of her, that she should never stop smiling, because her smile reminded him of hope. The audience fell into complete silence. Even the host could not find words to fill the air. The tears streaming down Xing Fei's face reflected the light of the cameras as she tried to continue, saying she had promised him once that no matter what happened, they would face it together. She said she never thought that promise would be tested in such a way. Then she told a story that made everyone's heart stop. A few days before Yu Menglong's passing, she had visited him at his home. He was quiet that day, quieter than usual, but there was something calm about him. He had thanked her for being part of his life and said something she never understood until now. He told her, "When the time comes, don't cry for me too long. Just tell them I lived for love." At that moment, the entire studio was in tears. Xing Fei could barely continue as she explained that she had tried to reach him the night before his departure, but his phone never rang again. She said she kept calling until dawn, waiting for him to reply, hoping it was all a misunderstanding. When she found out the truth, she collapsed. For days, she refused to speak to anyone. The world around her stopped. She revealed that she had written a letter to Yu Menglong after his passing, one she never thought she would share, but tonight she read it aloud. Her voice cracked as she read each line. "You once told me that stars never die, they just move to a different sky. I hope you are shining there now, watching over us like you always did." The audience broke into quiet sobs. Even those behind the cameras wiped away tears as they listened to her trembling words. The truth she shared was not just about loss but about love, friendship, and the invisible pain that often hides behind a perfect smile. Xing Fei then looked up and said softly that there were things she wished the world had known about Yu Menglong while he was still here. She said he was a man of kindness, one who would give without expecting anything in return, one who comforted others even when he was the one who needed comfort most. Her confession continued as she spoke of their time filming together. She said he would often tease her between takes, calling her the heart of every scene. They shared moments of laughter, but also quiet moments of reflection. He would often talk about life, about how fleeting fame was, and how important it was to be real in a world that demanded perfection. As she spoke, the crowd began to chant his name softly. Yu Menglong. The name echoed through the hall like a prayer. Xing Fei smiled weakly through her tears. She said that hearing his name gave her strength, that it reminded her that his spirit was still alive in the hearts of those who loved him. Then came the part that no one saw coming. Xing Fei revealed that before his passing, Yu Menglong had recorded something, a short message he wanted released only after his death. She said she listened to it for the first time just a few days ago. His voice was calm, gentle, almost peaceful. In it, he thanked his fans, his friends, and the entire team that made his journey so beautiful. But what shook everyone the most was his final line. He said, "If anyone asks what my last wish was, tell them it was for Xing Fei to smile again." The audience gasped. Xing Fei broke down completely, unable to hold back her tears. The host tried to comfort her, but she waved him off, saying, "No, let me cry. Let me cry for him, because he deserves every tear." As the interview came to an end, she stood up and walked to the edge of the stage. She looked straight into the camera, her voice trembling but clear. "Yu Menglong, I know you can hear me. You are not gone. You live in every heart you touched. And I promise, I will keep smiling, just like you asked." The entire country fell silent that night. Millions of fans watched the clip over and over, unable to hold back their emotions. Social media exploded with messages of love, remembrance, and heartbreak. Hashtags flooded every platform. Streets were filled with fans holding candles and pictures, all standing together in tears, whispering the same words again and again, "Justice for Yu Menglong." Even days later, the echo of that night still lingered in every heart. Xing Fei had not just given a confession, she had given the world closure. She had shown that love does not end with death, that true friendship leaves a mark that time cannot erase. And as the camera faded to black that night, her tear-streaked face became a symbol of strength, loss, and eternal love. The lights dimmed, but the story of Yu Menglong and Xing Fei continued to live on, not as a tragedy, but as a reminder that even in silence, love speaks the loudest. Their story became one that no one would ever forget. The studio was still. The air carried a heavy silence that no one dared to break. Cameras rolled, but even the producers behind the glass window seemed to hold their breath. Xing Fei sat on the edge of the couch, her hands trembling as she clutched a small note, the same note that Yu Menglong had written days before everything changed. Her voice cracked as she looked down, the paper slightly shaking in her grip. "He told me not to cry," she whispered. "He said the world was already heavy enough, and my tears would only add to the rain." The words escaped her lips like a fragile wind, barely holding together, yet piercing through everyone watching. The audience, though silent, could feel every pause, every gasp, every unsaid memory that hovered in the space between her sentences. Even Dylan Wang, who had joined the show to honor Yu Menglong, sat frozen, his eyes glistening as he fought to control his emotions. Bai Lu lowered her head, whispering something only Xinyu could hear. The atmosphere felt sacred, as though every heartbeat in that room carried the weight of Yu Menglong's memory. Xing Fei continued, her tone trembling but resolute. "He wasn't just an actor to me. He was the light in the places I didn't even realize were dark. On set, he was always the one to make us laugh, to make sure no one felt alone. But behind that smile, he carried more than he ever let anyone see." A soft instrumental music began playing in the background, the same song they once filmed their first scene to, years ago. The melody seemed to echo his presence, like a gentle whisper through time. Xing Fei looked toward the ceiling lights, as if trying to find him there, in the glow and warmth of the stage they once shared. Tears filled her eyes again, rolling down her cheeks in silence. She took a deep breath before revealing something no one expected. "The day before he left us, he called me," she said softly. "He said he had one last project in mind. He wanted to create something that would remind people that kindness still exists. He said that even when life gets dark, there is always a reason to smile." I didn't understand what he meant until now. The host, visibly emotional, handed her a small photo frame. Inside it was a picture of the two of them from their first drama together, smiling like time had never been cruel. Xing Fei held it close, her tears falling onto the glass surface. "He told me to keep smiling for him," she said again, barely above a whisper. "But how do you smile when your world suddenly stops moving?" The entire studio audience was silent. The camera zoomed in gently on her tear-streaked face, her raw emotion turning the moment into something timeless. Social media exploded within minutes, millions of fans flooding the internet with messages, photos, and hashtags honoring Yu Menglong. Hashtag Justice for Yu Menglong began trending across platforms, And fans from all over the world shared clips of the interview with captions that simply read, "We will never forget." Later that night, the video of her confession broke records. It became the most viewed emotional segment in C-drama history. Fans across Asia and beyond wept as they watched her words unfold. Messages poured in from other actors, directors, and production teams who had worked with Yu Menglong. They all shared one thing: he had been more than just a colleague. He had been hope. Xing Fei's final words became a message to the world. "If you loved him, remember what he stood for," she said, her voice steady despite the tears. "He believed in light, in forgiveness, in creating something beautiful out of pain. So, let's keep his story alive. Let's not just mourn him, let's live the way he wanted us to, with kindness, with courage, and with love." The camera panned out slowly as she stood up, walking toward the center of the stage. The lights dimmed, leaving only one beam shining down on her. She looked up and smiled through her tears. That one small smile, fragile but full of grace, felt like a farewell and a promise all at once. And as the screen faded to black, one line appeared in white letters. "For Yu Menglong, the man who taught us to smile through the storm." Outside the studio, the night sky seemed softer. Fans gathered around candlelight vigils, holding photos and whispering his name. The world, for a brief moment, stood united in memory. And somewhere beyond the stars, perhaps Yu Menglong smiled too, proud, peaceful, and free.